Hello everyone, welcome to another practice. Today we have a core focused practice. So we'll be working on our core muscles, strengthening and conditioning our core. So the way I have set this vinyasa up is there is a small sequence which we will flow in repeat, and every time we come to the core part we are doing a different core exercise. So it's very vastly heavily based on core strengthening and conditioning. Core strength is extremely important whether you want a flat ripped six-pack ab or whether you just want to have a good stability in your daily life. We use our core strength even though we don't really consider something as a core stabilizing or a core strengthening activity, but in our daily life, while we are balancing, while we are running, while we are walking or lifting heavy weights, or in all of these activities we are still engaging our core. But then of course there are some particular exercises which are exclusively focused on strengthening the ab muscles, which is also important. So today we'll be incorporating core exercises into our small sequence. The sequence itself is on repeat. So if you I think after once or twice you know how the sequence will flow, and every time we come to the core part we will incorporate a different or a new core exercise. And for this practice today I do have my ankle weights, and I have a variation of like 10 pounds, 5 pounds and 2 pound dumbbells. Now this whole workout can be done without any weights. You do not need to have any weights while doing this whole sequence. I just have come to a point in my practice where I was plateauing. That means my body was very used to what I was doing on a daily basis and I couldn't see any more results. So I had to up my what is the word? I'm blanking out, but what I'm trying to say is I had to increase the weight that I was lifting. I had to increase the intensity of my workout for my body to be challenged. So I started incorporating ankle weights into my yoga practice as well, and some dumbbells. Again, the whole thing can be done without any weights. So please do not stop yourself. You click on the video and you see that, oh, this vinyasa requires a lot of weights and I don't have them, so I don't want to do it. No, you can do the entire practice without any weights, and you just maybe increase the number of repetitions because the amount of time that I take, let's say for a Russian twist with a 10-pound dumbbell, you can do like 3 repetitions without a dumbbell. So increase the repetitions and you'll still can feel the benefits of doing this vinyasa. And I hope you're excited, and I'll see you on the mat whenever you're ready. And please do consider subscribing to the channel. It will make a huge difference. I know I mean, every YouTube video that you click, I think will have the same request, like please consider subscribing to our channel. But it is a free medium where we share what we know, and if you feel that this is benefiting in any way, please consider sharing this channel and subscribing to the channel. It will encourage us, and like even will give us some kind of reward motivation, if you want to put it that way, to bring in more quality content for you guys. And so whenever you're ready, I'll meet you on the mat and let's roll. If you are using ankle weights, strap it and meet me at the top of the mat. Come into Tadasana. Keep your feet hip distance apart. Engage your core, tuck your tailbone, and let's begin. Inhale, sweep your arms up, and if you want to add a heel raise, float your heels, bring your palms to touch over your head, cactus your arms, open your chest up towards the sky. Hold, extend your hands and fold forward. Halfway lift. This is your first step back, so you can either jump or take a step back, whatever is your choice. Come into a plank, and this is where we start adding our strength and conditioning bits. We'll add 3 push-ups and you'll see why just 3. 1, 2, 3. Flow into Chaturanga. Come into an upward facing dog. Bring your knees down onto the mat. Have your feet slightly wider than hip distance and lift your hips up from your upward facing dog. Curl your legs. So you're in this plank position, but your hips are not sinking down, or you're not in a pike position. You're neutral and your shoulders are directly over your wrists. Windshield wiper your legs. Bring your feet on the outside of your left hip and outside of your right hip. Keep your core engaged, because if your core is not engaged here, you tend to slowly glide backwards or forwards. So that's your clue saying that your core is not engaged. You should feel this in your obliques. For 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Come back to neutral. Bring your toes down onto the mat. Keep your toes tucked. Stack your shoulders directly over your hips. You can support your lower back and come into a baby camel, opening your chest up towards the sky, squeezing your glutes and pushing your hips towards the front of the mat. If you are warm enough, you can deepen your camel all the way into it. Release your camel. Bring your hips in between your legs. Tuck your toes. Roll onto your feet. Come into Malasana and hold your deep squat. Prayer hands. From here, if you want to add a challenge, this is completely optional. Bring your hands alongside your ears and float your heels. This will start building up the heat in your quads very quickly. Hold here. Release your heels down onto the mat. Bring your sit bones down. Soles of your feet come together into a butterfly. Here is a trick. If you are somewhere up here, and you can use a block of course to bridge this gap between the ground and your knees, or if you have dumbbells with you today at your practice, you can take like not a very heavy dumbbell, please don't do that. Take a light like a 5-pound dumbbell and gently place it on your knees and hold. This will gently open your hips and help your knees move closer to the ground. You should feel the stretch in your inner thighs. That's just something I used to do when my butterfly was up here. Come into butterfly. Optional to fold forward. Every fold is coming from your hips, not by rounding your back. Breathe and come back up. Bring the feet onto the mat and engage your core. Lean back. Lift your feet off the mat, coming into Navasana. We'll be going into Russian twist, and this is where you can use your weights. Have one dumbbell, it could be 5 or 10-pound dumbbell or whatever you're comfortable with. Hold it close to your chest, and if you can do this without any dumbbells. If you want to add a challenge, float your legs with or without dumbbells and twist for 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Come back to neutral. Put your dumbbells to the side. Bring your palms behind you. Your fingertips are facing your hips. Adjust your stance and lift up into a tabletop. Your chest opens up towards the sky. Extend your right leg, point your toes and lift your leg and tap back down for 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're pulling up on your kneecap while you lift your leg, so that should engage your quads. Switch legs. 3, 2 and 1. Come back into tabletop, release down into Malasana. Bring your hands alongside your ears and float your heels in your Malasana for an added challenge. Bring your knees down, transition into camel. Release back, come into plank. 3 and lift your hips up, come into downward facing dog. We'll take 3 downward dog push-ups. Either stay in your downward dog or float your right leg. Turn your palm inwards. 2, 3, switch legs. If you're in your downward dog, do 6 downward dog push-ups. 1, 2 and 3. Shift your shoulders over your wrists, come into an upward facing dog. Shift back, stack your shoulders directly over your hips, come into camel. Transition Malasana. Float your heels and hold. Bring your sit bones down and this time extend your legs in front of you. Bring your weights, with or without weights. What we will be doing is twist, bend your left leg and twist and open your chest towards the left side. Try to bring your elbow on the outside of your thigh. Come back to neutral, switch sides. Elbow on the outside of your thigh if you have that range of motion, or at least work towards it. So we do that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Neutral. Put your weights onto the side. Bring your palms behind you. Keep your fingertips facing your hips. You can leave your legs straight and lift up into a reverse plank. If you don't want to do this, you can come back into tabletop. We will do those leg lifts on both sides. Engage your core here. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring your sit bones back down onto the mat. Come into Malasana. Arms alongside your ears. Float your heels. Hold. Back down. Transition into camel. or baby camel. Release that. Come into plank, and this time we'll take push-ups. 3 or 5, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Downward facing, no, sorry, upward facing dog. Hold. And stack your shoulders over your hips. Camel. Release your camel. Come into Malasana. If you can come straight into floating your heels, do that and hold. Release your sit bones back down onto the mat and straddle your legs. If your weights are in your way, move it around. Straddle your legs. Bring your right foot to your left inner thigh. Face your shoulders towards your left foot and fold onto your leg. Make sure that your sit bones are down on the mat. Lift up. Bring your left elbow on the inside of your left knee. Extend your right hand up towards the sky. Bring your gaze up towards the sky. Have both your sit bones down on the mat. Do not collapse on your chest. Extend your right hand alongside your ears if you want a deeper stretch. Keep reaching through your right fingertips and at the same time rotating open your right shoulder up towards the sky. Keeping your gaze up will help in this. Release that. Switch legs. Extend your right leg, left foot on the inside of your right inner thigh. Fold over your right leg. Breathe. Release that. Bring your right elbow on the inside of your right leg. Gaze up towards the sky and extend your left fingertips up. Extra stretch, you can bring your left hand alongside your ear. Keep your sit bones down on the mat. Reach through your left fingertip. Release that. Straddle your legs. Here you can use your weight again. If you don't want to use weights here, if you've never done this before, try it without weights. If you feel comfortable, then you can do it with weights. We'll be folding in between the legs, but make sure that you're not forcing this and this fold is coming from your hips. Only go as far as down as possible and come back up. You should not feel any strain in your knees. If you cannot hold your straddle, you can do this with your leg in a butterfly. Six, 7, 8, 9, and last one. Release your weights onto your side. Bring your knees, bend at your knees. Stack your right shin over your left. Come into a fire log. Either sit all the way up or fold forward. Come back up and switch legs. Come back up. Plant your feet slightly wider than hip distance and come into Malasana. Take your variation. Release your heels down on the mat. Transition into camel. Oh, we forgot our tabletop. Release your camel and come back into tabletop, and we will do our leg lifts here. Extend your right leg, lift for 4, 3, 2 and 1. Switch sides. 4, 3, 2 and 1. Release. Come back through Malasana. Come into plank. Downward facing dog. Turn your palms slightly inwards, and let's take a couple of push-ups here. Your choice to float your leg and take your push-up in a one-legged dog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch legs. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Come into plank, flow through Chaturanga, upward facing dog. From here, bring your chest all the way down onto the mat. Bring your feet slightly wider than hip distance and float your chest off the mat, float your legs. You can either just stay here or you can curl your legs and release. You can have your arms floating. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one, and release. Get your lighter weights in your hands. Extend your hands alongside your ears. Bring your chest down onto the mat. Take a deep breather. From here, press the tops of your feet firmly into the mat. Float your chest. Cactus your arms and release. 10. Keep the back of your neck long. 8, 7. You can float your legs too. 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Release your weights if you have them. Bring your palms next to your chest. Push up into plank. Bring your knees down. Take your camel. Release into Malasana. Float your heels. Arms float alongside your ears. Hold. Release that. Bring your sit bones down on the mat and extend your legs. Open your legs slightly wider, not in a complete straddle, but slightly wider than hip distance. We'll lift our right leg and bring our right feet to our left feet and back. So this is what it looks like. You're not moving too much in your upper body while you're doing this movement. So engage your quads. So you're pulling up on your kneecap. Lift your leg with your core strength. Bring your right foot to your left and then bring it back up. Left foot to right. Bring it back up. You're engaging your core, and this movement is coming from your core strength and your quad strength. If you want to add a challenge, if you have 2 blocks, you can stack up your blocks here in the center or keep a dumbbell. Like for that, you just want it for your height. Or you can add another challenge, hold your weight to your chest. Now, 10 on each side. Let's go. Lift 10. 9. Engage your core. Don't move too much in your upper body. Your legs are engaged. They are not flopping up and down. You will feel the burn in your legs and in your lower ab muscles with this one. That was 6. That's 5. 4. 3. You can feel, I think you can hear my breath. Oh, 2. Last one. Come on. And release your weights. Yeah. Bring your feet onto the mat. Let's go into our tabletop and burn our quads a little bit more. Lift up into your tabletop. Extend your leg, left leg or right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch sides. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Come down onto the mat for an extra challenge for the core. Hold your boat. If you want, extend your legs for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Take a deep breath. Come all the way down onto the mat. We are almost through. Oh, I'm all the way. Okay. On the mat. Now we'll do leg drops. If you want, you can have your dumbbell and hold it at your chest. Or you can take a lighter dumbbell and hold it up here, or you can drop all the weights, all the dumbbells in your hands. Just lift your legs, float it, make sure that your legs are directly over your hips. Point your foot, drop your legs down slowly, engage your core and slowly lift it back up. The lift and the drop is coming from your core strength. Now choose the variation. So you can see the change in my range of motion when I am holding a dumbbell like this. My range of motion decreases because my core is not there yet. Without dumbbell, or if I hold the dumbbell down to my chest, I can go a little bit further down. If I drop my dumbbell all the way, and then I can take my leg all the way down and lift it back up. So that shows how much strength I have in my core and what I need to work on. So choose your variation. I'll just do a couple of each. Let's see. With the dumbbell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dumbbell to chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Release dumbbells. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh, release. That was quite a challenge. But if you are consistent with your work, you'll definitely see a progression and improving in your strength. Bring your dumbbells in your hands, the lighter ones or whichever ones you want to use. If you don't have dumbbells, don't want to use them, it's just fine. Stack your knees directly over your hips, ankles in line with your knees. Engage your core, extend your arms. We'll do dead bugs. So left hand extends, right hand extends at the same time. Dead bugs for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Release. Oh, my core is on fire. Release your dumbbells to one side. We'll take some supine twist to release our back. Bring your knees in line with your hips. We'll make a ab workout out of this too. So come back into your 90 position and drop your knees on the outside of your left hip, back to center. Bring it on the outside of your right hip. Come back to center. Have your arms out in a T, so your shoulder blades are glued to the mat. Let's go for 10. Bringing your knees back and dropping them. That is being controlled by your core. You're not just dropping and lifting with momentum. Your challenge is to keep your shoulders glued to the mat. Go only as far down as you can. And neutral. Hug your knees into your chest. Release. Take a deep breath and we'll do some hamstring work, just a little bit, just one. Lift your hips up, come into a bridge, float your toe tips so your weight is only on your heels. You're digging in with your heels. Now walk your legs all the way out and back, switching the leading leg. Go as far as you can and walk it back. Let's go. The longer you go, the harder it gets, and you're working and strengthening more. Take it slow. This is not a competition. You don't have to, it's not time, so you don't have to make 10 or 15 in under some time. So just switch your leading legs every time. Engage your core. Take breaks in between. This is not something that we do on a daily basis, our hamstrings. So at first this might feel really hard. Come back onto the mat, and of course we have to do a back bend, or you can do a bridge, whatever is your choice. Bring your feet slightly wider than hip distance. Palms come on the outside of your ears. Dig into your heels. Your weight is on your heels. Lift your hips up, tucking your tailbone. Engage your core. From here, push into your palms and Push your shoulders off the mat on your exhale. Release. Support your lower back and bring your hips directly over your shoulders. We'll come into a shoulder stand. When you're in your shoulder stand, your weight is on your forearms and it's not on your neck. Hold. Bend your knees, bring it to your forehead, extend your legs and work your knees away from your face. Come into Halasana and hold. Keep stacking your hips directly over your shoulders. Release and rest. I hope you enjoyed that short but fiery practice and you had fun. You can use this in tandem with any of your weight training or cardio or whatever you're doing that day, or if you are short on time, just use this as your time for moving and building some strength. Every little bit matters. I'll see you on the mat next time. Until then, happy nourishing.